Love X Revenge. The rain fell like a confession on the glass walls of the penthouse, blurring the city into streaks of silver and shadow. Alexander Crown stood alone, jacket draped over a chair that cost more than most cars, staring at two identical black cards resting on the marble table. They were heavy, matte, and silent, keys to a world that had once been shared and then torn apart. 2 weeks earlier, he had run into Clara at a charity gala. Ex-fiancée, socialite, the woman who had loved him loudly when the cameras were on and quietly left when his company had been bleeding and the tabloids were circling. She wore diamonds like armor and smiled as if nothing had been broken. She spoke about her new direction, and the man she might marry next. Alexander smiled back, gracious, polite, hollow. That night, when he returned home, he found Maria asleep on the couch with a book open on her chest. Maria, the nanny to his sister's child, had stayed on after his sister moved overseas. She worked mornings and evenings, cooked simple meals, and never asked for anything beyond her pay. She had a habit of humming when she thought no one listened. When she woke, she apologized for falling asleep and offered to make tea. It was in that ordinary moment that an idea took shape, sharp, reckless, and irresistible. The next morning, Alexander called them both. Clara arrived first, late by 7 minutes, perfume announcing her presence before her heels did. She glanced around the penthouse as if assessing an investment. Maria arrived on time, hair tied back, hands folded, eyes wary but respectful. Alexander placed a black card in front of each of them. No limits, he said calmly. Use it today. Do whatever you want. No questions. Tonight, I want the cards back and a list of what you spent. Clara laughed, delighted. A test. You always did love your games, Alex. Maria looked panicked. Sir, I don't understand. I can't. You can, he said gently. Please. Clara snatched the card and kissed the air near his cheek. Try not to miss me. Maria hesitated, then took the card as if it might burn her. Alexander spent the day alone, watching the city and wondering which hurt would be worse, confirmation of what he already believed, or the chance he was wrong. Clara's day unfolded exactly as the magazines would have predicted. A private driver took her to a couture boutique where dresses were selected without price tags. She lunched at a rooftop restaurant, ordering champagne she didn't drink and food she barely touched. She visited a jeweler, just to look, and left with a bracelet that could fund a scholarship. She posted stories, just glimpses of silk and skyline, careful not to show the card itself. By evening, she was glowing, triumphant, already rehearsing the story she'd tell her friends about Alexander's obsession and generosity. Maria's day was quieter. She took the bus downtown and stopped at a pharmacy first, buying medication for the child she cared for, an inhaler that insurance didn't fully cover. She paid an overdue electricity bill for her mother. She went to a grocery store and filled a cart with staples, then paused and returned half of them to the shelves. At a small bookstore, she bought 2 children's books and a used novel for herself, the pages soft with previous lives. In the afternoon, she stood outside a shoe store for a long time, staring at a pair of sturdy boots. Her own were splitting at the seams. She stepped inside, tried them on, then shook her head and left without them. Her last stop was a community center near her old neighborhood. She spoke quietly to the director and paid for a month of meals for elderly residents, insisting her name not be recorded. When asked why, she smiled and said, "It's just a good day." When night fell, both women returned. Clara swept in, dropping shopping bags like trophies. "Well," she said, "was that satisfactory?" Maria placed the black card back on the table with both hands. She slid a folded list beside it, eyes lowered. "I kept receipts," she whispered. "If I did anything wrong." Alexander picked up Clara's list first. It was typed, neat, unapologetic. He scanned the totals. His jaw tightened, not at the number. He had spent more on art he didn't love, but at the absence of anything beyond herself. Clara leaned against the counter, confident. "You wanted to see who I am," she said lightly. "There it is. And before you say anything, I assumed this was your way of apologizing." He nodded, expression unreadable, and reached for Maria's paper. Her handwriting was careful, almost childlike. Each line explained not just the purchase, but the reason. She had circled the smallest total and written, "I didn't need more." Silence stretched. Alexander felt something in his chest give way, a crack he hadn't known was there. He remembered nights when Clara had complained about the view from their vacation villa, about the wrong flowers at a dinner he'd planned for weeks. He remembered Maria humming lullabies to a child that wasn't hers, staying late without asking for overtime. His vision blurred. Clara noticed first. "Alex." Her voice sharpened. "What is this?" He set the paper down slowly. "You used the card to take," he said. "She used it to give." Maria's eyes widened. "Sir." You don't have to explain," he said, voice thick. Clara scoffed. "Oh please. This is absurd. You give someone unlimited access and judge them for enjoying it." "I'm not judging," he said quietly. "I'm choosing." Her smile vanished. "Choosing what?" "Who I trust," he said. "Who I respect. Who I want in my life." The room felt smaller. Clara laughed, brittle and loud. "You're serious. You're crying over receipts." He wiped his eyes, surprised to find tears there at all. "I'm crying because I finally see the truth." She grabbed her bag, fury flushing her cheeks. "Enjoy your little morality play," she snapped. "Don't come crawling back." The door slammed behind her, echoing like an ending. Maria stood frozen. "Am I in trouble?" Alexander looked at her and smiled through the tears. "No," he said. "You reminded me of something I lost." In the weeks that followed, he quietly funded the community center, paid off Maria's mother's debts, and offered Maria a raise she tried to refuse. He didn't push. He learned to listen. They talked over simple dinners, about books and fears and the weight of expectations. One evening, months later, as the city lights shimmered below, Alexander placed something else on the table, not a black card, but a small velvet box. "This isn't a test," he said softly. "And there's no limit." Maria met his eyes, understanding dawning, and for the first time, he didn't feel like a millionaire measuring worth in numbers. He felt rich in the only way that mattered.